let's get started. Welcome, folks. It looks like we've got exactly 200, now 201 participants in the room. Others might join as well. Let's please welcome them when they join. We're all participants here in this, room, in this Zoom meeting. You can ask questions in chat. Because we have so many people, please stay muted unless we ask you to unmute. But chat is open, and please feel free and ask questions. And our team is here. Some people on our team are here. They can answer your question. There's also people here who, let's see if I can see some faces, who are already certified, MindStudio AI builders, and they can answer questions for you and answer each other's questions. All right, cool. Okay, so first thing. So my name is Dimitri. I am the CEO of MindStudio. Also joining me here is Luis. How many of you have seen Luis on tutorials, on MindStudio tutorials? Show of hands. Again, we're practicing. This is how we communicate around here. Show of hands. Okay, cool. So that's Luis. And we've got Chase. You may have seen him. If you are a customer and you've got some billing things, you may have seen Jerry, who runs ops. You may have seen Alex, so Josh. So a bunch of MindStudio folks are here joining us. And again, they're here to answer your questions and do all that. We're going to spend the next couple of hours geeking out a bit on building AI agents and this whole AI thing. And I'm super excited to show this to you. And my commitment to you is that by the time that you leave here today, you'll be like, I know how to build AI agents for myself. Now, you'll still need practice to do it better and faster and more sophisticated agents, but you will all leave with the, generally understanding how to start building AI agents for yourself, your team, your company, by the time you leave here today in this short 2-hour period. We also have on our website, mindstudio.ai, a section called MindStudio University, which is, many hours of YouTube tutorials that you can watch. This is, again, where you'll get to see Luis's and Chase's smiling faces a lot as they teach you sort of like all the ins and outs of the platform and best practices. Also there, you'll find written documentation. And so you can use that, any time of the day or night at your own pace. And I encourage you to do that. So, over 10,000 people now have learned to build AI agents. Most of those people have learned to do it completely on their own, okay, using these, again, tutorials and documentation. We also, as you're in one of these things now, do these live trainings, and we have sort of different flavors of these live trainings. This is a 2-hour live training, generally call it a workshop. Some people call it a boot camp. And again, in 2 hours, we're going to get our feet wet, and you guys are going to be like, okay, this is kind of crazy. I can see what I can do with these AI agents, and I'm going to spend some time practicing, and I'm going to build some things for myself, and maybe you'll get excited about, I want to learn more about it. And when you do, again, you can either take the self-study route, which is at MindStudio University, or you may say, I actually want to go and into what we call the MindStudio Academy, which is also available, which are longer boot camps. Okay, so we have a 2 full-day boot camp, so 8 hours a day for 2 days, plus like after-hours stuff. So it's like really immersive for 2 days. There's a 5-day, so an entire work week boot camp that you can join. And there's also a 30-day boot camp that you can join as well. We actually just are wrapping up, excuse me, a cohort of 30-day boot camp. Or any folks, show of hands, in our current 30-day boot camp here? No, these are like new folks here. Okay, cool.
Willie here.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, anyway, they might show up as well. So we welcome people. You might see folks that show up that have gone through like these longer trainings, have gotten certified, etc. And so please introduce yourselves, those folks in chat and all of that. Okay. Yes, I'm excited to get you guys started. And so let me share my screen and we'll go from there. Is that cool? Yeah, okay, actually. Can you see my screen? Awesome. I'm just testing you guys if you've got this thumbs up thing down. And I see a bunch of you've got it down. Awesome. You see, we're getting somewhere already. You guys are real pros. Okay, I'm gonna give you just I hate, by the way, as you get to know me, if you get to know me, you'll hear me saying I really hate presentations like decks. And so this is pretty much the only time you'll ever see me doing one of these. So I'm going to really rush through this just to frame things for you before we get started so you kind of get a 50,000-foot view of like, what is this thing and what's happening. Now, in case you didn't know and you just like showed up here, right? MindStudio is a platform that's used by individuals or organizations to, generally say optimize their business processes, okay, using AI. We make it really easy for non-technical people to very quickly, one, learn to build AI agents, and two, actually build those AI agents very rapidly. The average time it takes to build an AI agent, once you know what you're doing, is anywhere from like 3 minutes to 30 minutes, or maybe an hour. So these are like very small time scale projects where you can very quickly have an idea, build a really powerful AI agent to go and automate a bunch of manual work processes that you've been doing so you don't have to do them manually anymore, right? And because, again, anyone can learn to build this, and because it's so fast and easy to build, this thing is super, popular. There's over 200,000 of these AI agents now that have been built. They sit in all kinds of organizations, from like solopreneurs to enterprises to government, and so like His Majesty's Revenue and Customs is the British tax authority, the British Internal Revenue Service. You guys may know ServiceNow, obviously, or New York Times, or you may know, I'm joking, you obviously know a bunch of these companies where there's MindStudio AI agents that are being used to do all kinds of automations, business process optimization, analysis, etc. MindStudio is venture backed. We've raised $36 million from all kinds of investors. These are some of our angels. As I mentioned earlier, if you guys were in the waiting room, I used to work at Google. So you can see, lots of sort of senior Googlers, VP of Google Photos, VP of Google News, Mike Leisner, the former CEO of Disney. You get the point. You can find this list on our website. If you want to geek out and want to see if we know a bunch of the same people, you can find them here. There's just a partial list. Okay, so again, really quickly, the situation sort of out in the world is, companies, whatever kind of a company it is, operate. They're currently, if it's a company, it's currently operating, and generally their business processes work fine, right? Like some companies are more early stage, some companies are more later stage, some companies got their shit together, other companies are more chaotic, but no matter what, generally their business processes are working. And so, sort of MindStudio's approach is, don't buy a bunch of like new AI SaaS products and try to like completely change the way your organization operates. Instead of doing that, just make the things that you're doing now run sort of better, faster, and more autonomously, right? And the point is that the team that's running the company, like all the people that work at the company, already know where there are inefficiencies in their own day-to-day workflows. And so those are the people that are the most qualified to then be able to go and optimize those instead of some consultants that come in from the outside that know nothing about the business and charge your company millions of dollars to try to re-architect the company, fire a bunch of people and all this other junk. No, just give your team the training and the tools they need to be able to very rapidly upgrade their own workflows to make the entire company run more efficiently. And again, MindStudio is this sort of comprehensive solution for all of that. It's a platform that you can learn to use yourself. Also, again, if you work at a company and you don't want to do it yourself, you don't have time, whatever, we now have a large network of certified MindStudio AI agent developers that have learned to use our platform, that have done many projects, that have passed an exam, right? And you can hire those people either on a contract basis or on a full-time basis to help you, update your own workflow or your company's workflows. By the way, also, all of you are perfectly qualified, if you really get into this, to become those people. To say, you know what, I was doing HR, but now I'm actually really excited about this AI thing. And so I'm going to be a certified AI agent developer. And I'm going to either do that within my company and get promoted in my company into that kind of a role. Because, by the way, every company is looking for people, either internally or externally, to get into those roles because they realize this thing that I'm showing to you is the obvious truth, that now is the time to take whatever your company does, every process, and make it more autonomous and more efficient and more intelligent. And so you yourselves could decide that I want to become the certified architect, and you can do it. All of you are qualified to do it. You need no technical skills whatsoever. Doesn't matter if you've ever seen a line of code. That is not the skill set for this. You can learn to do this no matter what. Okay, it's easy to use, it's easy to adopt, we have great training, etc. I'm going to go very quickly through these. I encourage you, again, if you want to nerd out on this and on us and really understand, should I invest more of my time learning MindStudio? Should I potentially go to like any of these like boot camps, longer boot camps? Just go to LinkedIn and do a search for MindStudio and see the kinds of people that are posting things. So senior product manager at TikTok or Intel platform, shockingly, into. I'm not going to read all these things for you. There's a bunch of these. You pick your brand of whatever company you think is interesting, do it. Again, you can get started completely on your own. You've already joined our 2-hour live workshop. That's what we're doing here. And then we host these other longer things. You can do it as well. Okay, last parts of the slide. So we're going to start building right now. First, I'm going to give you a demo of a bunch of agents, and we're going to start building agents like within the next 10 minutes. And we're going to use this thing called the MindStudio AI editor, right? And this is what it looks like. You can run it in light mode or dark mode, and it's just this thing that we're about to start using it. Yeah, first time you see it, you might say, "Oh, this looks scary." It's not. It's really easy, I promise you. And so just stay with me. Many people, especially obviously those that sit in organizations that are regulated or have lots of compliance issues, obviously privacy and security conscious, we have an awesome trust center and many ways for your company to get really comfortable with using MindStudio. Again, we have lots of really large organizations like His Majesty's Revenue and Customs that uses this in HR, that are privacy conscious, and they found this that works for them. MindStudio is AI model agnostic, we call it. It supports every AI model imaginable right out of the box. As soon as you create a free account, and we're about to start playing with it, we support over 200 AI models from all the major AI model providers. We also allow you to connect to any other model. If we don't support it, it's easy for you to connect to your own models, your company's own models, etc. So completely model agnostic, both on text and image and video and code and voice and like all of them. I'm going to teach you how to build AI agents manually. And that's kind of the goal today. And I encourage you, as you go through either our curriculum self-guided or join one of our boot camps, we're going to teach you how to build these things completely from scratch and completely manually. But we also have already built into the product what we call kind of vibe coding interfaces. Does everybody know what vibe coding is? Show of hands. Has anyone heard of vibe coding? Okay, some of you. So vibe coding means nothing to do with coding, by the way. It means just like you're chatting with an AI model, you can tell the AI model what it is you're trying to build, and it will behind the scenes just build the MindStudio AI agent for you. So you don't even have to do it manually. But it's important to learn how to do it manually, because then if you want to modify something that it's built, or, again, just have more control, that's the skill that's needed. But once you learn to do these things manually, you can save dramatic amount of time simply by again, vibe coding MindStudio AI agents. Really, really powerful. Whoops. Excuse me. MindStudio makes it easy to build different types of agents. And again, we'll explore those. I'm not going to spend much time on this, but I'll just quickly go through it. You can build AI agents for humans to interact with, meaning that they have front-end interfaces, they're called. They have screens and forms, just like any other app that you engage with. It has screens and forms, input, output. So you can build AI agents that have these kinds of front ends, completely custom front ends that just look like applications, screens and forms, multi-screens, etc. But behind the scenes, they're AI agents. So the back end is AI. The front end is just plain old boring or gorgeous, if you want, interfaces for front ends. That's one. These are these AI-powered web apps. You can run them on desktop, meaning from your computer. You can just load them. They just have a URL. You can put them on your home screens, and you can use them on mobile, operating systems, etc. That's one way. Another thing you can build are agents that are completely autonomous. What does that mean? It means that they don't actually have any front-end interfaces for humans. They just are backends. And typically they're scheduled. And so I'll give you an example. A company called Advanced Local, 100-some-odd-year-old giant newspaper publishing company. They publish newspapers and new media products. They now have over 300 of these MindStudio AI agents running. They've all been built by one person. His name is David Cohn. He's a non-technical builder inside of Advanced Local that's built over 300 of these AI agents. He's also recently hired Louis, not Luis, not our Luis, but another Louis in our community, a certified developer, to work at Advanced Local to help him build many more, because these 300 are just, scratching the surface, except they've got insane ROI. One of those agents, every weekday morning, sparks up on its own on a schedule and goes off and researches what's happened in the last 24 hours in the legal industry. Because their newspapers cover the legal industry. How are court cases moving through the courts? What's next on dockets? It connects to various databases. It looks at various websites. It searches. And it grabs all that information, analyzes it, and sort of digests it, and then packages up fact checks and quote pulls and does all these things to then create raw materials that it emails to all the journalists at various Advanced Local newspapers so that they can just start writing. Where before, if they wanted to get that data, it would take each of them about 3 hours of research to do. But instead, David made one agent that did all of it for all of them and just does it automatically. 3 hours saved per journalist per day. Yeah. And that's one of over 300 agents that he's built. And again, an agent like that you can build in like 15 minutes without writing any code. So that's these autonomous agents. You can also build agents that are browser extension, which the first ones we're going to play around with. So I'll explain it to you when I start a demo in a second here. You can build AI agents that, again, when you publish them, they automatically get a custom email address. And so you can send them an email, like copy them, for example, on a long thread where you're negotiating with some company. There's like a bunch of back and forth and all that stuff, and you've forgotten what's in it. Doesn't matter. Copy this AI agent, can pull everything out, structure it for you, analyze it, go do a bunch more research, put it into your various CRM systems or other systems, and then reply back to you, reply back to the whole group with like action items and things like that. We build this type of an AI agent in the first week of our 30-day boot camp, and we're going to build one of those in the first day of our 2-day boot camp. Build one of those agents, one of the first 5 agents we build this time. Okay. And then there are agents that can be built, again, really easily without writing any code that are for other systems to be able to use them using code. So they've got API endpoints and these things called MCP. Has anyone heard of MCP, just out of curiosity? MCP, I've got some hands, keep them up because I've got multiple screens. Okay, great. You don't need to know, everybody doesn't need to know what MCP is here, so we're not going to go over it. But there is no faster and easier way to build MCP servers than with MindStudio, and so lots of people do it. Okay, great. We're done, woohoo, with this presentation. No more of that. I'm not going to go through the rest of this stuff. Okay, you guys still with me here? I see your faces, so I guess you are. Awesome. Okay. So this is just a long read. It doesn't matter what it's about. It's just a demo. It's just a long read, okay? And we all encounter long reads like every day, right? That's what we do. That's what knowledge workers do is we scan lots of documents. They might be documents, they might be PDFs, they might be whatever. And we use our brains and we use our attention. We might use a notepad or copy and paste it to other notes things to like pull things out of this and try to understand this like really dense material, but it's part of our job and it's important. Well, guess what? I've got this little thing here on the right-hand side. This is a browser extension. So MindStudio is a Chrome extension. You can just install it free of charge. And then because I've got this extension, I've got the capability to have with me wherever I go in the browser, which is kind of everywhere, right? Wherever I go in the browser, I now have these, magic buttons. I call them superpowers, but really they're AI agents. And so one of the AI agents I have is this little button here. It's called TLDR. And whenever I click it, no matter where I am, and I'm going to give you a demo of a bunch of other places where we're going to click these buttons, I get an error. No, I typically don't get an error. Let's see what's happening. Restart agent, odd. By the way, periodically, these networks have issues. I haven't had this type of issue here a bunch. Well, let's make an agent and see if our agent works instead of this one. Maybe I did something to break it. So I'm going to go a backwards way. We're first going to make this agent and then we're going to use it. Okay. So let's do this. Let's make an agent here. Oh, I see Anthropic is down. And so that agent is using Anthropic. Great. We'll make an agent that uses something else. So listen, we're nimble on our feet. Just because we were going to show you the demo this way, doesn't matter. We'll go the other way. Let's learn to build first, then we'll demo what we build. That's how we do it around here, MindStudio.ai. Once you've logged in, you go here. Now make sure you guys don't blink, okay? You click My Workspace, and then you click Build New Agent. We're going to build an agent from scratch by clicking this. But also, if you go over here, I'll show you this later. We've got over 100 agent templates that you can use to start with. And then you can just make a copy of that and modify it. But again, I want to help you build these things from scratch. So I just click Build. We're going to give our agent a name. I'm going to say TLDR. I'm going to build that same agent. You can give it many other things, icons and permissions and sort of many other things. But here I'm just going to say this. Then now agents are made of these things called workflows. You can have one or many. This one's just going to have one. And workflows have a start, an end, and things in the middle. On the start, we choose how this agent gets triggered. By the way, you guys don't have to take any notes. You don't have to remember any of this stuff. We're going to go over this a bunch of times just in this demo. I see somebody saying, Dimitri, you're not sharing your screen. I hope that's not the case. Everybody see my screen? Thumbs up. Okay, cool. Yes, if you ever see me talking and not sharing my screen, please break in and let me know. Okay, thank you. Okay, so you don't have to take notes. You don't have to try to memorize this. I'm going to expose you to this a bunch of times, and you'll instantly understand the pattern later. So just like relax and watch. On start, I'm going to choose a trigger. There are different types of triggers. The first one we're going to choose is browser extension. So we're going to make an agent that's going to appear as a browser extension button here. Let me click this again, see if our weather has subsided maybe as we're building this. Nope, still there. Perfect. We'll keep going this way here. Also, so great. We're going to say it's triggered by a browser extension. And again, this is a really simple agent. We're going to click plus. There are many different types of blocks that you can add into these workflows to do many different things. I'm not going to go over all of them here. As you can see, there's 110 in this category. There's another 663 here. New ones are showing up every day, basically. We're going to use simply click plus, and we're going to say generate text. We're going to use the first block. So the agent we're going to build is an agent that when I click this button, it's going to grab all of the content on this page, no matter what page we're on. And then it's going to extract all of the learnings, like extract all of the main points create a TLDR, right? I like to, and again, so to do that, we use this block called generate text. You guys may also know this block is uh, uh, call a large language model. Has everyone played with like ChatGPT and Anthropic Claude, right? If you haven't, you might be a bit confused here, but don't worry about it. And so you give them a prompt, right? And so the prompt we're going to give this one is extract all learnings. And then here I'm going to use these double curly braces. Okay, so I'm going to make this a bit bigger. These double curly braces. Now, many of you may never have seen these characters on your keyboard, but they're there. They're typically right next to the square brackets, okay, right above your enter key. And as soon as you type double curly braces, you get this drop down of these things called variables that are here. The one we're looking for here is this page content. We get this variable automatically sent to us whenever we click a button in the browser extension. It automatically sends us all of the page content on this page. Like so, as if you did Command A or Control A on the PC, you get all that content, and it's going to take that and basically paste that in here in a sense. And so when we call the model, and we're going to give it extract all learnings, it's also going to get, as if we copied and pasted all of this content on this page, going to get that sent to it. And then we're just going to display that back to ourselves, back to the user, although we could also save it to a variable and then continue down the path. Now, if we keep scrolling, we can see that by default, this one is configured to use Claude 3.7 Sonnet, okay? But if I click here, I can change these models to, again, a bunch of different providers. For example, we could use, GPT-4 or, GPT-5 Mini or any of these things. I'll just use GPT-4. Sure, why not? And then we can control, a bunch of other things about the model. We're not going to go over them here, but all of these blocks here, as we call them, if you see you've got configuration, and also you have this thing called quick help. And so whenever you add any block, you can look at quick help and it'll give you more about this, including entire whole other pages and tutorials about using variables, how to use them, yada, yada. So again, we're just going to skim the surface here in this 2-hour workshop, but it's all actually quite easy. Again, this is nothing like coding. If any of you have been traumatized or oh, I wanted to learn to code and I watched lots of tutorials and I did it and I never got it. I know I'm not meant for this. I tell you, forget all that junk. The skill set is radically different. And you can learn to do this. This is about as technical as it gets right here. There's some more stuff. Some of you will hear this term JSON. It goes around scary. We teach people JSON all day long. So many people, all the people in our bootcamp have learned JSON and now are JSON masters. Okay. So anyway, we're done, by the way. We've just created this agent. It's going to be triggered by the browser extension. As soon as we push the button, it's going to give us all the page content. And we're going to say to the model, extract all learnings. And we're just going to give it this page content. And then we just gave it, we changed the model to be OpenAI. And now I'm going to say publish. And now this agent already exists. In fact, I can even open it. So again, all of these agents are just web applications. So they've got a URL, okay? But this agent is specifically meant to be used as a browser extension. You remember that's what we said. And so it's saying, hey, the better way to do it is via the Chrome extension. But if you did want to paste the URL in here of the site you're on, you can use it that way too. We're going to use it in the browser extension. So we're going to go back here. Now, these agents I have that are here with me all the time, we call these pinned. So these are my favorites. But if I click on this M, I get access to all my other agents that exist. What is happening with my network today? Here we go. Okay. And so again, many agents here that are available for me to use. This is the one we're looking for, this TLDR we just built. I click this, and it's going to grab this content. It's going to send it to an AI agent. Oh my God, I'm going to get an error. What is going on today? Team.
Dimitri, Anthropic is down.
Okay, but I'm using OpenAI here.
OpenAI, perfect.
So there's something beyond Anthropic. Maybe we could be having internet weather. Again, we'll adjust if this is the case, but weird. Listen, this is how the demo gods periodically work. Here we go. Listen, we can send a bunch of old white guys to space and bring them back. But maintaining network connections, this is still hard to do. Okay, and so this thing is pulling out a bunch of these things. It's as if I spent my time really paying attention to this long read and doing that. But I didn't have to do that. It did it for me. I can then say copy, or I can share it, with other people, and I can control things. And so this is a much faster way to be able to digest this kind of information. Let's try using the same button on a different thing. So here's
They have a lot of.
Oops, speaking of old white guys, this is Jeff Bezos. And this is actually a really interesting conversation, but I don't have, 2 hours, even 1 hour, 2 times speed to watch this. That's great. I don't have to do that anymore because I've got my magic button over here. And we're going to say run. In fact, I'm going to click here. I'm also going to pin this. So now we're going to have it. This is our new little magic button. And so it knows how to find this transcript, down below here, oops, in the main section here. Even I have a hard time finding it. Here it is, this transcript. You know how to find the transcript and then extract things out of it. Now, this one didn't actually do a great job, this model, on this. The Claude model does a much better job, or I could have written a better prompt and extract all learnings. But this is extraordinarily powerful, where you get to, as if you took meticulous notes on long YouTube videos. I've run this on 8-hour-long videos. And very quickly, you get all this, the bullet points, all the important things out of it. Not summarized, but extracted all the core points. And so you can very quickly, again, keep clicking these little buttons. Mine's just awesome here using 3.7 Sonnet that automatically gets all of that. So it works on that. It also works, and by the way, that's a superpower. Mere mortals, even if they can watch it at 3 times speed, can only, sort of consume so much content. But I can consume, 100 times more content than they can in a fraction of the time with dramatically less effort. And that's extraordinarily valuable. Or, this is a Twitter thread, if any of you still use that service. Doesn't matter, I'm just pointing anywhere. Like, why is US jobs collapsing? Well, I could try to read this and, potentially be exposed to all kinds of other things. Or I can just click my little button. And again, it doesn't matter what we're looking for. It knows how to find all the content on the page and extract all of the learnings from that content, all the important things, so I can understand it. It also works just as well on, giant PDFs. And so this is a 182-page, financial disclosure from Goldman Sachs. And you can use your brain and attention to read it, or you can just push a button. I'm not going to push it because this one's also using Claude. But financial analyst that'll do a fundamental analysis for you. We'll make one of these right now from scratch so you can see how that works. And so again, having these buttons around that instantly, again, let's try this one. I'm not sure which one I configured this to use. So this is just a profile. In this case, it's a Twitter profile, but it could be any other, written profile or YouTube profile about somebody, a person. And you want to understand the person, not a topic. It's not really extract all learnings wouldn't be the right prompt. It would be a different kind of prompt, which would ask this model to go and extract all the information about the person that would be relevant for me to be able to quickly understand, in this case, Gary, who he is, what does he care about, who does he socialize with? Because now when I reach out to Gary, I can know him better than any mere mortal could have known him, because I've got this little helper tool that allows me to be able to do that. A few other quick things here. Again, let's see if any of these are going to work. Again, sometimes these things also come back really quickly. The models go up and down. We live in a world that's like that. The cool thing, again, with MindStudio is you can use many different models. So here is a job description for a chief technology officer. Right, no, this one's in French. I could have done it in that too, but I'll just pick one in English so we can all understand it. And so in the past, if I wanted to get a job, or if you are trying to get a job, well, again, you'd browse her. And again, here we're on LinkedIn, but it doesn't matter. I keep sort of saying it doesn't matter. AI agents don't care what website you're on. If you can see it, you can push the button and let the AI agent see it. So it could be a job site, it could be some article talking about jobs, etc. You can push this button, and now it understands that we're looking at a job. And I've got a special button here called custom cover letter generator. Again, it used to be that I'd have to use my time and my brain to understand what this job is about, and then to sort of craft a cover letter that explains to these people, although in this case, most of the time it's AI on the other side that's reading these cover letters, but it explains to the company why I uniquely am qualified for this, you see? But with an AI agent, all of that time is saved because I can simply, in this case, give it my resume. By the way, you remember I said you can build agents that have screens and forms? This one's got a little screen, right? They asked me for my resume, upload. And now it's giving me a custom cover letter that clearly articulates why I am extremely qualified for this job description. But guess what? I'm also extremely qualified for this one, and all others, because I'm extremely qualified to be the CTO of these companies. I just need to explain to them how in their language. And now I've just got a little button that does it instead of me wasting my brain energy doing this. By the way, I used to dread this. So I would just cheat and not send cover letters. Okay. And so like oftentimes we make these choices of like, is it worth it? Well, oftentimes it's really valuable, but it might not meet that threshold of worth it. So we just don't do it and we suffer. But now we can do it because if it's worth it, we should just build a little AI agent that helps us do it whenever we want to do it. So we don't have to like be lazy and not do it. Okay, last one. This is my third venture-backed company as a founder. I've now raised for these three companies just over $140 million. And so I have quite a broad network of VCs and angel investors and other folks that I know and that know me. But periodically, I like to do what I call VC collecting. and VC collect. So I've got this little database. This is an Airtable, but it doesn't matter. It could be a Google Sheet, it could be Excel, it could be whatever. It could be a text file. And this one has names, photos, current job, current company, the professional summary of the VC, all of their education, like all the degrees they have, all of their key experiences, their latest posts, all of their latest posts on LinkedIn, obviously a link to their LinkedIn profile, and their email address, which is very important. And the way that I get that is simply by being, again, in this case, on a LinkedIn profile, but it could be anywhere. And I've got a little button over here. I just click that button. And as soon as I click that button, that triggers my agent and it sends it this profile. And by the way, I can close it. You see, I actually don't have to sit around and wait. I can just go and say, yep, this is somebody I want to be connected with. I'm just going to click the button. Whoops. And then, go on to the next one, and I can be here, and I can just click the button. Where again, before it would be like, okay, I've got to like understand who these people are, and then click connect. Sometimes it says you've got to have their email address, and then I'd be stuck, and like I'd have to spend hours looking for their email address. Yeah, but if not, I can add a note, and I've got to write them. Well, I don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. This doesn't scale. This is crazy. And so now I just click buttons, and it collects all this information. Now, by the way, the email address is not on LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't show your email address. But this agent knows how to use another service behind the scenes to get the email address and enrich this record with their email addresses. And then I have another agent, which most of the time is not running, because with great power comes great responsibility. And I call that my, lovingly, I call it my VC harasser agent. And when that agent is running, it connects to this Airtable database and looks at these records. And by the way, if you may have noticed, oops, I don't think I can make this larger. I don't know if this, can you guys see me zooming? Yeah, does it zoom if I do? I'm not sure.
No, it doesn't, Dimitri.
Okay. Anyway, you might see here that these things don't look like they're just for humans. They've got like these square brackets, or these things have these like curly braces over here. And so this is called JSON. And the reason this is in JSON is because, again, this data isn't really from me. This data is from my other agent that looks at this data and crafts custom messages to these VCs and sends them emails and then waits for them to respond. And if they don't respond, after a certain sort of time and criteria, it creates another message from a different perspective and sends them an email. That's why I call it the VC harasser, where it will send them messages until they respond and say, okay, damn you, I'll talk to you. By the way, most of the time, it doesn't have to do a lot of harassing. They respond, but like so much easier. All I have to do is push a button. That button should be called, get me in touch with this person. Doesn't have to be a VC for you. It might be a prospect. And so now when you need to reach out to prospects, don't go searching for them and use your brain to try, like, have your agent do the heavy lifting. Push a button, you're going to get in touch with that person. Push a button, you're going to get in touch with that person. How do you compete with that, by the way? Like, if this is the world we're in now, guys. This is it. And that's where it's going faster and faster. That's the new world. Doing things the old way, it used to be that, we called it craftsmanship and we called it artisanal, and we called it, many awesome romantic words of like things that we chose to do manually that could have been done more, autonomously. But in this case now, there is no, because the delta between doing it the old way and doing it the new way, it's like infinity. I can get in touch with hundreds of people before you get in touch with one. Wow. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for a moment. We are, about 50 minutes in, and we had some technical difficulties. This is awesome. You guys get to learn that MindStudio is model agnostic. If some agents are having issues because a model is down, I could have, by the way, gone into my existing agent and edited it and switched the model to do it. I didn't want to do it. I just want to show you guys from scratch. But we make it really easy to fail over to other models, to switch to other models, or even detect these errors automatically and then fail over to other models, like automatically instead of doing it manually. Okay, so that's awesome. That's really powerful because these model providers are still, on one hand, they're mature. On the other hand, their infrastructures are a bit immature still. And so they'll periodically have issues. Having the ability to use any of them or all of them simultaneously is huge. We saw that MindStudio makes it pretty easy, right? Like we made that little TLDR agent, the first one. We're about to make a bunch more. But that was pretty fast, right? I said new agent. I said it's going to be browser extension triggered. And then I added one block. That block was to call a model and give it a command. And the command was extract all learnings. And we simply gave, along with that command, we used that double curly braces. Think of it as like that means paste in to this thing whatever's in this variable. And in that variable, page content is all the content on the page, whether it's a regular HTML page, or it's a YouTube video, or it's a PDF, or it's a database inside, like whatever you're seeing in the browser, that's what you can send to your agent to look at. Could have been your email that you were looking at. And you can then simply push a button and you can trigger that agent. And then you can make an agent to do another thing and another thing and another thing. I promised you make another one. Let's make another one here in a moment. And so those are agents that are triggered by the browser extension, okay? As I mentioned, there are other agents as well that can be automatically running on their own. They can be agents that run automatically but have what we call human-in-the-loop interfaces. So they're running autonomously, but you're kind of watching them. You don't have to do anything but like supervise them. And whenever they need you to make a choice, they'll present a screen to you asking you, whatever choice you want to make. And then you could like verify that they did something right or give them guidance. And so these are called human in the loop. Anybody heard this term, human in the loop? Yeah? Cool. Okay. So we make that trivially easy to make human in the loop agents. Agents you can supervise, right? And then we'll make one here in a moment that has a, front-end interfaces, screens and forms, email. Again, you can trigger them by email. Is that making sense generally? So you make them using this MindStudio editor. We'll play more with it. I showed you a bunch of examples of the Chrome extension. Yeah. Now, Jennifer, I see you have your hand up, but I think you probably had it up because you were saying yes, unless you have a question. Does anybody have a question that they'd like to ask that's related to the things we've done so far?
Dimitri, can I bubble up some questions actually?
Please do. Uh-huh.
Um, some questions around how do I know which model to choose?
That's a great question. Generally, you can, sorry, let me take a step back. When you learn to build agents with MindStudio, you quickly realize that the way to build agents is to break things up into small steps. And for some steps, you need to use an AI model. For other steps, you might not use an AI model. You might use other services, and so for the times that you need to use the AI model, most of the things you're asking the models to do are small bits of the entire thing, and therefore you can pretty much use any modern model to do that, and it's going to work. Okay, but you will also realize that different models do behave significantly differently, that for certain steps, one might actually be a better choice than another. And so there we actually provide for you tools. I'll share my screen here quickly as we're doing this, to evaluate models against one another. And so if we go back again, let's just start building a new agent here. We have a thing here called Profile. On the top here, we haven't explored these yet. Profiler is this interface. See, watch, right now I've got two columns. I can add another column, for example. I can add many columns. And for each one of these, I can choose what model do I want this column to use. And again, I can pick from many different models, right? So let's maybe do a, let's see, whatever, GPT-4.1, sure. Again, it doesn't matter. You choose which models you want to compare. And then we can give them all a prompt, like write a poem. And then simultaneously, you see, we're engaging with all of those models, and we can quickly see that this one here is thinking, and reasoning. It hasn't finished yet. These things are finished, and you can see, I'm going to make this a bit larger. Whoops. You can see how long it takes these things to run. Oops, sorry, what's going on with my computer scroll here? There we go. You can see how long these things take to run, how much they cost in tokens, both input and output. And so you can evaluate models against one another for any step that you do in your automations, and you can find the right model to use. Another way you can do that is when you are, again, looking at something like this. This is that generate text block we're going to use, and you choose the model picker. You can search for models, and you can, filter models by all kinds of criteria here. Again, what is the size of the context window? Does everybody know what this context window thing is? Anybody? Raise your hands. Okay. Seems most of you don't. That's fine. Again, we teach all of this. You can learn it on your own. You can come to our boot camps. So different models have different size context windows. They can be really small, like 4K. They could be really large, like 1 million. And that means how much text could you send this model before you overloaded its capabilities? Some models let you send insane amounts of text. Other models let you send very small amounts of text. And some models can actually do something with that or not do as good a job. And also, again, what is the cost for this? And so you can evaluate these models in these various ways. If you actually click on the model itself, on the model name, there's lots of information about this model, what it's good for, what it's not great at. And it's just like a bunch of ways you can figure out what model you want to use. As when you're getting started, short answers, don't worry about it. any model you use is going to do what you need it to do generally. You can easily change it simply by choosing this. By the way, I'll quickly add another block over here. If you add, let's say, generate image block, well, you're going to have access to different types of models from these other kinds of companies, right? So these are image models, right? If you add a block which is, generate video or generate text, well, you'll have other kinds of models yet again. But they're all the same thing from a use standpoint. You just click the little button, it says use, and now you're using them. And then again, generally, you give them a prompt, etc. Okay, you guys still with me here so far? Okay, was there another question, Danielle, before I?
Yes, I was hoping you could talk about data and privacy as well. There's the agent seeing everything on the screen or everything that you're putting into it. What happens with that?
Yeah. Okay. So again, we have in MindStudio on the homepage a section for privacy and security. So I'm not going to go deep into that. I'll answer this specific question. But if you want to go super deep in what does it mean for using AI models in your business, you might say I work at a bank, or I work at a medical facility, or I work at the government, wherever it is that my company is super conscious about security and privacy. That's great. That's awesome. Go read our trust center. If you want to send it to your IT person, send it to them. If you want us to talk to your IT person and make them feel great that they can open this up and not worry about it, that's great too. So far, we've run into no places, zero. Again, we know of certainly that have said, "Oh, I can't use this because of any kind of security or privacy concerns." It's actually really straightforward. The answer specifically to your question on the browser extension. So the way the browser extension works is when you click the button that you've made, you yourself made that button, so you know what it does, you know what model it uses, you know all the steps it takes because you made it or somebody made it for you in your company, right? Like David Cohn does at Advanced Local. He makes a bunch of different buttons for a bunch of different journalists and things. He just does it for them. And so he made these buttons for them. And so the Chrome extension does not see any content whatsoever that you're just browsing around and looking at. Like if you're looking at your own bank account or your company's proprietary data, it doesn't see any of that. It's only when you click that button, specifically do you ask it to look at the page and take that information and then send it directly to your agent, and then your agent does something with that. The agent we made extracted all learnings. Other agents I had grabbed all the people on the page and put them into my Airtable database or other things. By the way, the extension is also open sourced. And so again, some of you aren't technical, so it's not going to mean anything to you. Others might say, oh, my IT person is going to love that because they can just look at it and there's nothing to be scared of. It's open source. Okay, by the way, you could even use other Chrome extensions to do this. You could make your own Chrome extension thing itself and use MindStudio. It doesn't really matter. And so it's really easy to do. When you send this data to the model, remember we called the GPT model. When we send that data is sent in encrypted form, okay? And also all of the model providers that we support explicitly state that when you send them data via these APIs, which is what we use, they do not keep that data, they don't use that data ever to train any of their models. So as long as you trust the cloud providers whose models you're using, and those are OpenAI, Anthropic. By the way, OpenAI is basically a proxy for Microsoft. Microsoft is the dominant investor. So OpenAI is Microsoft. Anthropic is primarily Google and Amazon, right? Google itself has models. Meta itself has models and many others. But all of them, as long as you trust those providers and their explicit terms of service, which I think you should, because if you don't trust them, it means you don't trust the cloud at all, okay? Then you've got no issues. Everything is encrypted. The model providers don't use it for training. The browser extension doesn't do anything until you ask it to do something. And the thing you ask it to do, you yourself built. There's no weird magic where it decided to do something for you. You know, a lot of people have this idea, kind of this like sensationalized idea about AI agents. And they sort of like envision them as being these like sort of like human-like things that like you ask it to do something and it makes a bunch of decisions that you hopefully trust it to make the right decisions for you and then go do that. Nobody really builds those kinds of agents. I mean, you actually can, like you can build those kinds of agents and give them that kind of autonomy, but you very quickly realize, like, I don't know what to do with something like that. What I really want is to build something I know exactly what it does. Like oftentimes I intentionally uh, 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 make them seem less than what they are by calling them just like fancy AI macros. Okay. And I encourage you to think of them in that way too. You're building just like fancy AI macros. Now, can you compare them to macros? Yes, because they're things you built and they do step-by-step things and you know what they do. What I mean by fancy, I mean like insanely powerful, nothing like those old dumb macros that we all tried to build and mostly failed because we had to be extremely precise. And if anything was fuzzy, you couldn't possibly do it. Here, you can do countless things. So they're fancy AI macros. Okay, so hopefully that answered the question on the security. I'm trying to give you some more color on this in this like short time we have together. Um, Danielle, any other questions?
I think we're good for now. We'll bubble up more later.
Okay. Let's do a different kind of agent really quickly again just to so we can um, look around. Again, the point of today is to look around. You guys can learn a lot more in a lot more structured way by following our tutorials. Again, let me quickly show you where you can find those on the homepage right here. Learn. If you click on that, this is, MindStudio University. You've got lots of video tutorials. You've got lots of written documentation. You have templates. And so this is very accessible. We just updated it. And so it's the best it's ever been. And so again, I encourage you to do that. You can just dedicate some time and do it from there. Okay, let's start a brand new agent. We're going to say my workspace. And then we're going to say build new agent. We're going to call this agent blog post generator. Oh, man, generator. When I do this, I know I need more coffee. So I apologize. Cheers. Again, I'm ignoring a bunch of these other things you can do. By the way, you can embed these AI agents in your own website, like a widget, or a calculator, or a form, or a chatbot, or like you can do all that, many other things. So we're just going to ignore that. We're just going to say blog post generator. You remember last time we said that this agent was going to be a browser extension, but this time I'm going to leave it to be this on-demand thing. And you'll see what that means. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create, again, what we call a user input. We're going to make an agent that shows a screen to us and asks us to put in a topic and to put in, let's say, a style and maybe even like a length, a word length of how long do we want the blog post to be, right? And to build those forms, we use these things called user inputs. I can add them from here, but I can also add them from here. I'm just going to click plus. And here's this thing called user input. I'm going to say this. And then it gives us this interface. It says you can add a bunch of user inputs. I'm going to say plus, and we're going to create our first user input. Now, look on the right-hand side here. You see, this is a long text control. There's also a short text control. There's also a text choice, multiple choice, where you can create a bunch of these multiple choice things. There's also an image multiple choice, where you can present many images to people and get them to choose what image. And these are inputs, right? Input, output, these are inputs. You can give them things that are like ratings, where they choose many different things. You can ask them to upload a file. You remember we saw that when it asked me to upload my resume. It just used one of these user inputs, says upload your resume to do it. Here, we're going to use this long text here, and we're just going to call this topic. And we're going to say, what do you want the blog post to be about? Okay. And by the way, we can add a bunch of other things here, placeholder test and many things like that text. Okay, great. We've created one. And now let's add another one of these. And then we're going to say create new. And this one, let's make this a short text. And I'm going to call this, style. And then here, whoops. And what style? Okay. And then we're going to create a third one, and we're going to say create new. And here we're also going to use short text, and we're going to say length. And we're going to say how long should it be? Yeah. Okay. So we've just created these 3 user inputs. By the way, if we wanted to, we could already test this blog post generator just to see what's here. There's a couple of ways to do it. One is to click preview and say open draft agent. And so now we're just previewing our draft. Okay. And so remember, this is what you want the blog post to be about, in what style. This is the long text. These 2 are the short texts, and how long it is. So we're creating an application. Like, look how dumb easy it is to create a front end for an application. By the way, I'm not showing you this other thing. Maybe at the end, somebody could find a video to show that you can actually vibe code these front ends to look any which way you want in any style with like any of these things without even having to create these things manually like I'm doing. You can just describe what you're trying to build, a blog post generator, and it will automatically create all of these for you and let you ultimately control visual style and interactivity and all that. I'm showing you how to do it manually. Okay, so we created those things. You could also, if you wanted to, just publish this thing. Oftentimes I just do that, and you can just open it up. And because this agent is configured to be on demand, you remember the other one, when we opened it, it said it's meant for the Chrome extension. You could paste in a URL or go. This one says, yeah, okay, here it is. So this is our blog post generator. We can type some stuff in here and say next, but what's it going to do if we do that? Right? Just like type some stuff in and say next. What is it going to do? It's going to say, great, I'm done. I did it. Woohoo. Because it did. We said it was ending. Well, that's not what we wanted to do, right? So we wanted to keep going. Okay, so we collected some data from the user. It's really powerful, right? Okay, so now watch this. We're going to say plus, and I'm going to just stick with this generate text block. And again, that means call a large language model. And here I can ask this large language model to write a blog post about this. Okay. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it, you remember how I said you can paste in a sense, these like variables? You can include them. You can, the term is inject them. You can inject them into the prompt. Okay. And the way we do that is simply by referencing their names, right? And so you remember that topic? Whoops. Topic. That's the topic that we made over here, right? In our user input, we made one user input, and we said that its variable name is going to be topic. We made another input. We said its variable name is going to be style, and we made another input. We said its variable name is going to be length. And so we actually now have all of these variables available to us to inject here. And so we could also inject the style variable here, and we could also inject the length variable here. Now, what's going to happen if I do that? And the topic is going to be a blog post about how AI will disrupt the world as we know it. And the style is going to be Edgar Allan Poe. And the length is going to be whatever, 500. Yeah. What this would see would be the words, how AI will transform, disrupt the world as we know it. Edgar Allan Poe, 500. That's all it's going to see because we haven't said what these things are. It doesn't see that this is a topic and this is a style and this is length. It just sees what's inside those variables. And so to clarify what that is, we use a format like this, okay? it's called wrap these things in these types of tags. Have any of you seen this type of thing? What does this look like? Has anybody seen HTML? Show of hands. This is sort of like what HTML looks like. This isn't HTML. This is called XML, but it's dumb easy. This isn't hard. Whatever variable you're passing in here, instead of just passing in the variable, you should wrap it in XML tags that explain what this thing is. And they have a start, and they have this forward slash. You see this little forward slash over here? This means end. So this is the beginning of it. This is the end of it. And everything in the middle, now the model can see that all the stuff in here, that's going to be the topic. And all the stuff in here, that's going to be the style, right? And all the stuff in here, well, that's going to be the length, of post. I can use it like this, or you could just say length. It'll know what that is. Okay, but again, we're giving the model, we're letting it know what this is. Now, by the way, here I have it indented. I'll indent it even more. Here I don't have an indent. In fact, I'll put it like this, just to show you that it doesn't matter what it looks like in your editor here. All of these things are the same, as long as they are just that the variable is just wrapped in these things. That's it. Okay, again, this is as hard as it gets. It's not hard. It might feel a bit foreign for you initially when you see it, but it's not hard. It's really easy. You just use these variables and you just wrap them in these things. Always do that. Okay, great. And so now we're calling a model. I'm going to leave this at 3.7 Sonnet. Let's check if they're back. And then let's go ahead and just display that to ourselves. We're done with that. We're just going to leave this as display to user. Okay. And then I'm going to say publish. And I'm going to say open agent. And here's our agent. And we said how AI will disrupt everything. And we're going to do it in the style of Gary Vaynerchuk. Then we know what Gary Vaynerchuk is? Yeah, some folks. Okay, great. How long should be, whatever, I'm going to say 1,000 words. I'm going to say next. And so now this thing has taken that and sent it to the model. Look how quickly it did it. And it says, great, here you go. Here's your blog post about the topic. And well, hold on, is that our topic? That's not our topic. That's not right. Why patience is the ultimate entrepreneur superpower. Something went wrong here. Topic. Did I not publish? That
Dimitri,
was on.
are
Let's take a look at the debugger.
Did you do it intentionally or not?
Yeah.
I see your error. I've seen it.
You did.
Like,
what did I do?
You're missing a double curly brace on the topic variable.
Ah, look at that.
For the longest time, I thought it was intentional the whole time.
Listen, even the worst of us make these silly mistakes. But look, you can recognize something is wrong. I would have found it if I looked at the debugger. Thank you, Luis. By the way, some people might notice that this thing right here is different colored. That doesn't actually mean that it's wrong. Sometimes it tends to do things like that. This is just computer programming in this case. So don't worry about it as long as it's there. But variables do need to have two curly braces. Thank you, Luis. And who was it? Karen, who's a new certified developer. Any more? If I quickly show hands, who's a recently certified AI agent developer? I see Karen, show of hands. It's you. Okay. A bunch of you are still, I guess, off camera too. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead. We published this. Let's open this agent and try this again. How AI will disrupt the world, and in style of Gary V. And how long should it be? 1,000. And say next, and we go. And let's try that again. Okay. We're doing better here. So again, the point here is not about the blog post. And the point here isn't about anything that this thing says. The point is that you can very easily get information from users, in this case, either yourself, if you're building this application for yourself, or if you're building it for other people. Like you can build applications that have screens and forms that collect information from the user, display information back out to the user. And just like I said, that the front ends can be extraordinarily customized and custom colors and all of that. The things that get returned back to you, to the user, the output screens, also have the exact same flexibility of being ultimately customizable in their structure and their look and feel and their interactivity. We're not going to go into it here in this short little thing, but we teach all of that in all of these boot camps. And again, you can learn it on your own by going through tutorials. Okay, let's keep going a little bit here. And let's go ahead and take this blog post that we wrote. And again, I just want to show you kind of chaining of blocks. And instead of saying display to user, I'm going to change this to be saved to variable. And I'm going to call this, blog post. Oops. Now I'm using this camel case, it's called format. It doesn't matter what you call it. Variable names can be capitalized whichever way you want to capitalize them or not capitalize them. This is a common format where you start, if you've got multiple words, you start it with lowercase, and then for each other word, you raise its first letter case, called camel case. Okay, so now we're going to create a new variable. Once we do that, we're not going to display it back to the user. Now we displayed, right, the blog post, we displayed it, back to ourselves, to the user, we displayed it. We changed that now. We're not going to display it back to ourselves. We're just going to save it as a variable here. And I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to add another one of these generate text blocks, the same kind of block. But instead of giving it all of this stuff, I'm actually just going to give it the blog post. Okay, and how do we do that? Like that, right? We already know that. Okay, and so I'm just going to put that blog post in here. And we also know, what should I do? I can do this. I should give it context. Blog post. Okay, and I can give it another command here. And the command could be turn this into a LinkedIn post. Okay. And here I'm going to continue down the path and say save to variable. And here I'm going to call this LinkedIn. Okay, actually I'm going to make it all lowercase just so we can see it here, LinkedIn. And then I keep going here. I'm going to give myself some more room. And I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to say view all blocks. And now we're going to take a quick look at the bunch of blocks that we have. So now the block that I'm looking for is this LinkedIn post block. So I could search for it. But instead of searching for it, I want to give you a quick tour of other blocks we have. So we have blocks to call text models, LLMs, to call image models or video models, or blocks to call models that can take a bunch of numeric data and generate all kinds of visualizations, charts, graphs, whatever, or generate pixel perfect, ultimately customizable structure, almost like print collaterals, not almost, like literally you could use them in print. So PDFs, HTMLs, HTML pages, images, any kind. It doesn't have to be just boring old text, like we've been chatting with ChatGPT. It can be as diverse and as customizable as anything you've ever seen in an application or on the website, on any website. Okay, so that's this block here. Also blocks that allow you to send the model an image, and then it comes back to you with text. It's called computer vision. It can analyze images and charts and screenshots, and incredible what these models can now do. And you can now orchestrate them, that you could, again, get a user to upload an image and then instantly send that image to a model to analyze that image, extract all the information from the image using optical character recognition, look for forgeries or whatever else, like countless things that you can now do with this one little block. It's incredible. We're not going to get a chance to play with it here now, but it'll blow your mind. Or generate speech, or take audio and turn it into speech, or automatically generate two-person conversational podcasts. Two people, synthetic people, talking about whatever it is you've asked them to talk about. And the output is a podcast of that. These are incredibly powerful. If you guys remind me later, I'll show you some examples of that before we leave. Okay. Then I'm going to rush through a bunch of this. There's the ability to get data in various ways. We're looking at the user input, allow users to get us data. But we could also allow our agent to go and scrape URLs, to connect to the web and go browse URLs and grab the content from any URL that it has access to, or to query various databases, relational databases and vector databases and document databases and countless things. Make HTTP requests. This means call APIs and many things like that to control the flow of the agent with showing menus and creating logic blocks and these things called checkpoints, and to connect to various social media platforms that we're about to do, and read, write, update in those social media platforms. So you can have your agent constantly paying attention to whatever social media platform you care about, looking for people talking about your company or talking about your competitors or talking about things that might be their needs that you can address. And no longer do you have to use your time and your attention to go and scan things and monitor things. Humans shouldn't be doing that. AI agents do that. They do it faster, better, infinitely cheaper than our own time in doing it. And you can build these things extraordinarily easily to do, connecting to various Google services, sending emails, sending SMS messages. You get the point. That's just the first 110. There's another 663 new ones being added practically every day. There's a lot of capability. But what we're going to say is post this to LinkedIn, create a LinkedIn post. So as you've noticed, different blocks have different things on the right-hand side. You click on a block, the thing on the right-hand side changes. You click on a start block, you get these. User input blocks get these. Generate text blocks get these. And this LinkedIn block gets this. And the first thing it says is what account do you want to use? If you haven't created one, you simply just log in to an account that you have. It's called OAuth. You log into the account, and from then on, it's available for you. And so you just pick what account. And then here, look, all I have to do is say, what do I want to post? Well, we know what I want to post. I want to post this LinkedIn variable here. And so we know that we can use double curly braces, LinkedIn, and that's it. And we can say publish. Now, I know one thing here, though, that because of just, again, I've spent time building this, you might not realize yet, is like, maybe I don't just want to post whatever this model generates to my LinkedIn, because there's a bunch of important people watching, and what if it generated something I don't want? Well, so I should probably supervise this. So I'm going to say plus. I'm going to add another block. This block's called display content. Now it's black like this block, but it's nothing like it. So the colors don't mean anything here. Pay attention to what kind of a block this is. This is a display content block. This is a generate text block. A generate text block calls a model and gets a response back from the model. A display content block simply displays whatever it is that we want to display. In this case, we're just going to display this LinkedIn post that this thing generated. We're going to display it. And then we're going to get something that stops us, and it says, do you want to proceed? And if we say yes, then it will go ahead and post it to LinkedIn. You guys following me here? Yes, no, sort of. Okay, let's play with it. And so I'm going to say open agent. And again, we're going to do here how AI will disrupt everything. And in what style. I'm going to stay with Gary V here. And how long should it be? Now, if I am writing a LinkedIn post, I need to be conscious about how long my thing should be, because LinkedIn doesn't support long posts. But think about it. What this thing first is going to do is going to write the blog post. And that blog post could be 10,000 words if we wanted it to be. And then we're going to take that blog post and we're going to call a model and we're going to say, turn this into a LinkedIn post. And these models know the limitations of LinkedIn. And so it will conform it to us. So this doesn't matter. I'm just going to leave this at whatever, 1,200 here. But I could have said 12,000 and done that, okay? And we still wouldn't have a problem. Okay, and so now we can, again, see what's happening. You see, this thing is running right now, and then it's going to run this and this. But while it's running, I also want to show you another thing here. There's a thing here called debugger. And so we can actually see these are all the runs we've done so far. And this is the run that we're doing now. And we can see it running. We can see it's completed. It started. It gave us the user input. These are the variables it created. You remember we set topic to, I typed in how AI will disrupt everything. We set style to, I typed in Gary V, and we set length to, I typed in 1200. That's what we get here. I'll make this a bit bigger. Then it says, great. Then it calls a model. And you remember I said it sends to the model the stuff we typed in. So this was the prompt we gave, write a blog post about this. And then you remember we added that topic, and inside of it, you see it injected how AI will disrupt everything. In style, it injected Gary V here. And this not displaying right, it says 0. And then it continued, and now where are we? If we look at our thing, we are looking at a LinkedIn post. See, it's got hashtags here and everything. But we haven't posted it yet. See, so what block are we on now? We're on this display content block right now. And if I say next, which, let's not do it because I don't want to like mess with my LinkedIn, but trust me, you guys can do it on your own. It'll post it to your LinkedIn profile and then you got to go and delete it. Okay. But again, that's not the point. The point I want to show you in this example is that you can easily create these screens and forms for your users. You can call one model and you can store the results of that in one variable. You could go and in this case call another model and give it that variable we created here and then store those results in another variable. You can then put yourself human in the loop and just display it so you can supervise what it's doing. And then we used one of these social media blocks we have to post this thing to LinkedIn. Yeah? Okay. This publication, The Lowdown, is got a bunch of these long reads of what's happening in the world right now. This is completely autonomous. This entire publication runs 100% on its own. Every day, twice a day, it goes to news.google.com to this business section. It looks at all of the things that are going on in the world, and then it picks one. And then it goes off and it searches Google for all of the things, all of the other articles about this topic, and it goes and visits those websites and grabs all the content, analyzes it, and then writes an analysis of current events twice a day, completely on its own. And by the way, these things are awesome. It's become kind of like my go-to way of consuming news because it's not just one story. The story was just the seed of like, oh, we should have some deep research on this. And then I get this like diversity of sources and analysis, not just opinion. Another thing I want to quickly show you. So if we go here to, again, my workspace, so far we've been clicking this Build New Agent button. Remember I mentioned on the left-hand side here, there's this area called Agents. And here there are agents that I've starred. This is one of the capabilities we have. In this button here, you can add them to starred, or you can pin them to the extension, which I showed you, then they show up on the right-hand side. So that's that. These are my agents. But this is what I want to show you. There's over 100 of these other agents in these various categories here that you can just use right now. Or you can take these things and you can simply make a copy of them. We just did, which made a copy of this agent, and then you can modify them. And so these agents can be, quite sophisticated in the number of steps they have. But all of these things are actually pretty simple. They're mostly just English, where you're configuring them by typing English words into them, etc. But this is a deep researcher. So that's one thing. But I want to show you the output of this deep researcher. Let's do it again here quickly. So when you run this deep researcher, you get user input, right? 2 user inputs. What do you want to research? And then afterwards, after I've done the research, do you also want me to generate a 10-minute, two people talking about conversational podcast about this research thing? Then you say next. And the output of that agent is, oops, I keep clicking the wrong button here, are things like this. And so again, you can see them here. By default, it's private, but you can also choose to make it public. And if you choose to make it public, it shows up here and you get, these things that you can click on, these artifacts. So all of this was generated automatically by this agent that takes all those different steps that I was showing you here, all of these different steps. There's actually multiple workflows here that all work together. And it generated this image. It generated this like one paragraph. It generated these 10 takeaways. It generated this podcast
blind spots.
That's here. Okay, you may not be able to hear it from my thing. It generated this 37-minute read. And it did research on this company that if you just Google this company, Pathos Communications, it seems like a high-flying, ultimately successful company in the UK. But if you do deep research on it, you might not want to partner with them. Wow. Yeah, Jillian randomly showed up. Somebody did it. It showed up in our public, but I thought this is a great example of like deep research is really valuable. Okay, don't skim the surface. And so again, this thing searches Google at scale. When you tell it, I want to research this, it creates a plan to search Google. It creates all of these sophisticated Google search queries. It executes each query, gets the results, picks the results, crawls the results, gets the data, goes to the next query, does that over and over and over again. So it gets like reams and reams of data from the web, from many sources, and then analyzes it, creates a second plan to go deeper, does that again, gets it all back. Whenever it has numeric data, it generates charts and graphs and things like that. It uses Google image search to source images. Everything you see here has these little citations over here. Okay, because again, none of this is coming from the model's own opinion. All of this data is coming from websites that are explicitly shown here. And again, you get this like insane executive summary, and at the bottom, you get all of the sources. Each source and here, a link to each source and what did it use from that source. And so these agents can go and grab data from the web or from databases or from things you upload or user inputs or whatever at scale, ingest them, analyze, and then create. Like again, if you were creating an executive summary for, you're doing an analysis on something, like this is this kind of stuff you'd hire consultants and they would charge you, hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars to do. Well, now your agent can just do it for you. You've got infinite number of consulting opportunities available to you to use because you can use an agent we created, or you could make a copy of that and modify it to be more biased in various ways. I want you to disregard these kinds of websites, or I want you to go much deeper in these kinds of things. And so you can take our deep researcher and without rebuilding it, just add some things or modify some things. And so in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, you can create completely new deep researchers that do this kind of stuff for you. You will periodically see me catch myself like getting into these like, I don't know, probably embarrassing, these like excitement things where I blow my own mind still every day about like, what are we talking about here? Like the power of being able to have to search Google at scale automatically without having to think about it. Well, that's profound. The ROI on that is infinite. I'll give you another example. Like a month and a half ago on a weekend, again, just one of our creators messaged me and he's a day trader. And he told me about these agents that he has that, when he's trading, monitor automatically, connect to Google Trends. Does everybody know what Google Trends is? Show of hands, yes, no? Google Trends, trends.google.com, is an interface where you can search for, here, I'll show you. You can search trends.google.com for keywords. you know? And so you can see how many people are searching for Tesla. And again, you can do it like past day, past hour, you know, over time, restricted by countries, various categories, blah, blah, blah. You can see for other related things that they're searching for when they're searching for Tesla, like Larry. And it's just like a lot of interesting data here. Mostly it's used by like people to do SEO and things like that to figure out like how to buy keywords on Google. But what these things actually are is the ability to see what humans are thinking about in the world, because that's what they're searching for. And so by itself, it's not very valuable to search for Tesla. But he's got an agent that searches for hundreds of terms related to Tesla, like Tesla's supply chain issues or Tesla's satisfaction. And the agent can see all of those terms simultaneously and analyze them. And when you can analyze all of the data across those terms, what you get is an unfair advantage. You get to see what the world is thinking before it's reflected in the stock price. And that's a superpower, you know, that's like, and so he's got one for Tesla and he's got a bunch of others for all the other things he tracks. And where before, like nobody could do this as a human, even if you tried, like you couldn't keep your eye on 100 terms, or he's got hundreds related to Tesla, like it wouldn't make any sense. But an agent does it effortlessly. And so the data is there, but now because of agents, this data actually has insane new value that it never had before because it was impossible for humans to derive that value from that. Okay, I'll stop here again. And I'll take some questions. So as you can see, like time flies when you're having fun. And so far, you know, you've seen 1% of what's here. Okay, but I've been trying to show you some outlines. So the thing I want you to get out of this is you should pay attention to this, yeah, to this AI stuff. You know, some people are like, that's what you guys told us about this like Web3 stuff. Where's that now? You know, I wasn't one of those guys. So this is not that. This is the new thing that all of us have access to. It means doing it now. It will transform our world as we know it. It will transform every knowledge org in every industry of every size. We will have to do things in these new ways. Doing things in old ways simply will not be possible. It's like not having computers for your employees, and you're working in a law office, but you guys only use typewriters and write out. You can't compete like that. Okay, this is even bigger than that. The delta between enabled and old-fashioned is greater than the delta that I'm explaining of typewriters and computers, okay? By many orders of magnitude bigger, okay? And the good news is that you now know more than any of your friends know. Like, go try it out. You know, people think they're like AI experts. You see lots of people like posting about copy my prompt, you know, pay me $20 to get access to my 5,000 prompts in my PDF. And you know, I always chuckle at that, you know, those are amateurs. You guys are going to be professionals, okay? And so you already know more than they do. You know that if you're going to do something on an ongoing basis, you just need to ask a model something. Yeah, don't build an agent. If you don't need to ask a model, go ask ChatGPT and it'll respond to you. But if you do things like on an ongoing basis, then you should spend time building some of these fancy AI macros, these AI agents as we call them, and you can start doing it yourselves. That one pattern I showed you, start with browser extension, say, give it a command. I gave it extract all learnings, and then just give it that page content variable. Just with that one pattern, just those blocks, that one pattern, you can create countless new little buttons for yourself that do things that you would have manually had to do. Because the command doesn't always have to be extract all learnings. It could be many other commands. I also didn't show you that we actually have an AI built into that block that can automatically generate prompts for you. You don't even have to write like, what's the best prompt for me to write? You can just tell the AI agent what you're trying to get it to do, and it will write the prompt. It writes amazing prompts. Like, so again, I'm intentionally showing you how to do things manually. So later you can discover that you don't have to do things manually anymore, but it's really valuable to know how to do that manually. Okay. So just with that, you already have that capability. But again, as I've already showed you, there's many other things you can do with it. And I encourage you to like lean into it and learn. Mostly, again, we've taught thousands of students just like this. There's tens of thousands of students that have learned on their own. Students, you meet people just like you. And so we get, again, just look on LinkedIn. Don't believe me. Just search LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever. You'll see people like raving about, like, oh, look what I just did this week. I just leveled up my skills like this. Now I'm doing this and this and this. I'm getting opportunities that are coming to me where people are trying to hire me to build them AI agents. And I'm just starting, but I just started building them and posting about myself building these things on LinkedIn. And now people are reaching out to me, asking me to help them build it and go work for them, etc. So try all of these things out. That's the world we live in now. Everybody is looking for AI experts. You are on your path to becoming AI experts. That path is not long. That path could be rest of the afternoon, spend that. Tomorrow you'll message us, you'll be like, oh my God, I can build AI agents. You can, yeah. Spend a week, a couple of weeks, a month with it. You'll be an AI ninja. And then again, what you do with it is up to you. You can just do your own job. You can go and grow within your own company. You can go get
Can you
another
hear me
job.
now?
We can,
Hello?
hold on, I'm not sure. We were trying to hear you. If you have a question, please use the hand question or the hand thing. We'll take
Oh,
questions.
gotcha. I can hear you now. Give me 1 second.
Right. I think, Luis, we need muting here. I don't think they realize.
Okay.
Not talking to us. You're
Dimitri, I just muted you so I could mute everyone. So if you could mute yourself, thanks.
Am I unmuted?
You're good now.
Awesome. Okay, great. I think that was the universe telling me, shut up, take questions. I'll wrap it up. One last thing. So I encourage you guys to keep going. Don't wait for us. If you want us to take you by the hand and you've got time and energy to go into these boot camps, cool, do it. We'd love to see you in there. If you just want to play around with it on your own time at 2 o'clock in the morning when you get bored, go do it. Go to MindStudio University and you can do it and start doing it. But don't sleep on it. You're here at the beginning of this wave. This is an incredible opportunity for whatever it is you guys want to do, professionally in your lives. Like now is the time. You are early, you're not late. You're extraordinarily early, but it's here. And the opportunities are just grand. Okay. Jennifer, do you have a question?
I do. Do you have time to just show us that vibe coding aspect of the prompt you just described? That's super cool. Or just where to go for it, maybe.
Yes. Let me show you a couple of these things. Okay, let me just close some of these things here, and then we'll go to MindStudio. So again, I encourage you to learn to build these things manually, so then you can benefit from not building them manually. And so building them manually is starting from scratch and starting to configure these things and other things. But here at the very bottom is a thing called Generate Agent, for example. And we call this the MindStudio Architect. And so you can literally say to this agent what you want the thing to do, every day, monitor techmeme.com. And if there are stories about AI, analyze them, and send me an email with analysis. Okay? And you can say go, and this thing is going to spin up and it's going to start generating. Now it might, it's creating a plan. It might ask us some questions back and forth to disambiguate. You see, so like I can help you build this. Great. Do you want, it's going to run automatically. It's going to scrape the latest headlines. It's going to use AI to identify which stories are specifically about artificial intelligence. It's going to generate the analysis. It's going to send you an email. Great. Would you like me to draft a detailed spec? Again, here it didn't ask us any questions other than this, but again, because I was quite specific on what I wanted. But if you were more ambiguous, it would go back and forth with you. And then it's going to go ahead and it's going to generate the draft for us of what it's going to build. We're going to be able to go back and forth with it on fine-tuning that thing. And then it's just going to build it for us. And it's going to put all the components on the screen for us. So we don't have to do that manually. Although we still have access to it then to modify it and say, oh, but also now want to do this and want to do that. And says, great, I'm going to build this thing. It called it the Tech Meme AI News Monitor. You know, it's going to be invoked on a schedule. It's going to use these variables. Again, I can read this. I said, this all looks good. And I can say build, or again, I can ask it to modify things as well. And then it'll go to this other step and, it's going to create all the blocks and it's going to do. So this is one place where you can do, this like conversational building of AI agents. There are other places as well in MindStudio where you can do that. Let's go ahead and open up another tab here. Actually, we'll go to this one here. And if I say, plus, and I, do this generate text block here, and I click on it. Right here, if I click this expanded to full screen, there's a button here that says generate. And you remember I said this thing can generate the prompts for us where we don't have to write prompts. So I can do this like analyze this stock, will be provided. And that's like this janky, stupid prompt. And it's going to say, okay, you lazy human, let me generate for you a real prompt of like what you probably mean. And then I can edit the prompt and do it. It's another place. By the way, this is that agent that it already built. Okay. And so again, like we now have the ability to generate entire agents or generate prompts, or again, here I'm just going to continue to bastardize this on user input. I can create these custom user inputs, as I showed you before, where I can ask this thing to create for me the front end interfaces that I want with all the form fields automatically and with validation and like all of that stuff. That's another place. And another place is like a then maybe if we're using generate asset block right here, this generate asset block also has capabilities for a vibe coding that are in here, this custom interface. See, so there's like a bunch of places inside of MindStudio where you've got these helpers that once you know how to do things manually, you don't have to do things manually. But if you don't know how to do them, then you might get confused and you're not going to even like prompt these things in the best way. But again, we go over all of that in tutorials. Certainly we go deeply into all of that and you practice all of that in the boot camps. And so you can grok this. Again, no technical skills required whatsoever. Besmir? By the way, if I pronounce your guys' names wrong, I like to learn name pronunciation, so please correct me.
Thank you. That was the closest one, so it's okay. Besmir. So
Besmir.
It's
okay.
Great. I wanted to ask a little bit more about the two-day bootcamp and the 5-day bootcamp. What could we expect differently from this workshop that we do today? And
yeah. Well, again, in 2 hours, because I want to sort of paint a bunch of outlines for you and generally get you guys to see it, we kind of touched upon a bunch of things. And again, that single block pattern, you guys can go and build countless agents with it now. Just like I told you, you're qualified to go start building AI agents now. In the boot camps, we take a much more sort of comprehensive approach to learning like all of the things, right? And so we go through like all of these various capabilities, many of them we haven't even mentioned yet in MindStudio, and teach you how to use them. We do a bunch of projects. So we show you how to do these, you do them on your own. you complete projects, you struggle in places. We have office hours where we help you get through it. There's just a lot more time with us and with the subject matter and other, our, in a sense, teaching assistants, existing certified AI agent developers who came before you, join us in these boot camps to help, new folks level up. You kind of get access to a community of other people that are also working. So we find that like when you're learning along with other people, they break off into like, some break off into virtual groups. A bunch of people have met in person now. There's one in Atlanta, one in Toronto, Vegas, like where people have said, oh, we're both learning this thing, let's get together. And they've had like happy hours. So there's like a lot of that kind of stuff that comes in the boot camps versus this like haphazard, let me shine the light on some of these things for you. Yeah. Okay. Other questions? I missed everything in chat. So if Danielle or Luis or folks want to bubble anything up, that works too.
I'll go ahead, Luis.
Jimmy.
Oh, sorry.
No, sounds like you had some. Go ahead, Dan.
A lot, like people's minds are going in so many different exciting directions. Like, can I do MindStudio can I integrate MindStudio with SharePoint? Can I build an agent that does this, does that? Like, Dimitri, the answer, like, let's say it all together, right? Yes.
Yeah, again, so we live in a marvelous time. What do I mean by that? to stay ambiguous. Countless marvelous things. The thing that I'm pointing out of marvelous time is, I remember when it used to be really hard for integrating like one system with another system. It was either impossible or it was ultra clunky or you needed to write a bunch of code or whatever. Now, because of everybody has APIs and because MindStudio is awesome with APIs, because these AI models are awesome with APIs, we make it like dumb, trivially easy to integrate anything with anything, even if you can't spell HTML or JavaScript. Again, you don't need technical skills anymore to use MindStudio to integrate systems, where before, even if you were a master coder, it would have taken you a long time and you wouldn't have done it, or it would have been kind of rigid and would break all the time because things are fuzzy and code doesn't do well with fuzzy, but AI models do great with fuzzy. My favorite way that people describe MindStudio is it's like AI duct tape. Anybody know what you can do with duct tape? You can do countless things with duct tape. Duct tape, I propose to you, along with a hammer, a screwdriver and some kind of a pliers or a wrench, is the most important tool you need in your toolbox, in your physical toolbox, because duct tape has countless uses. You can take things that are sort of not working and put some duct tape on, and all of a sudden, like, it works, and it's like super flexible that it might not be the best rigid, but boy, it certainly can be molded into countless things. And that's how AI duct tape is. It allows you to very rapidly connect systems together intelligently, where before, what was connecting those systems intelligently? Meaning, I would argue that every day, knowledge workers show up to their office and have their cups of coffee and log into some systems and get some data and do some thinking and do some searching and do some collaboration and transform that data and generate some new data and then put it into some other system. And that's what we do. We humans are glue that glues together the infrastructure of our company. We're this intelligent glue. Well, we don't want to be glue. One wants to be glue. Let the AI agents be the glue to do all of that stuff. And you be the strategic architect of it. The person that says, yeah, I used to be the glue, but now this thing is being the glue. And I've got all of this new mental capacity to say, hey, that way it's doing it isn't the best way. Let me build it this way. This is going to be much faster, easier, etc. Let me go help my coworkers build theirs. You see? And so AI duct tape, think of it in that way. Anything can integrate with anything really easily. You guys, again, can learn it. learn it on your own, come to our boot camps. Every last one of you can be a master of this, certainly within the next 30 days. You know, that's how quickly we got people in with our 30-day boot camp that's ending now, where we're graduating hundreds of certified people on this. Again, the next boot camp that's coming up, by the way, is a different flavor. It's a 2-day immersive boot camp. So 2 full days, starting Monday and Tuesday, this coming week, where if you've got it in you, where, you know, it's a boot camp, but we'll turn you into AI masters in those 2 days. And then we've got a 5-day boot camp coming up. And there's another 30-day boot camp that's going to be scheduled as well. So whatever your flavor is, however you like to learn, if you've got more time and you want to take longer ones, that's cool. If you want to just get it quickly and dedicate 2 days, you give us 2 days, you're going to come out AI ninjas. Okay. Other questions? Luis, did you have something?
It was covered.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. Well, guys, I never end on time, so I'm going to impress myself here. It looks like we're right on time. Wow. Great to see your faces. Thank you for having your cameras turned on. If you come and visit me again in various classes, you'll hear me as a broken record begging you to turn your cameras on. So thank you for those of you that did. Hopefully this was worth your time. You got hopefully some inspiration, some knowledge. Go play with it. Please, if we're not connected on LinkedIn, please connect. Please share your learnings and your aha moments. You see, again, people are doing it on LinkedIn. It's good for you. It's great for us. Selfishly, it's great for us when you're talking about all this amazing stuff you're building with MindStudio. It's great for us, but it's great for you. Because the more the LinkedIn algorithm believes that you are an AI-focused person, the more valuable your profile is. Because people aren't looking for marketing people anymore, or salespeople, or operations people, or finance people. They are looking for AI versions of that. And the sooner your profile reflects that, the sooner you will get, literally, again, opportunities landing in your lap. Well, they'll be figuratively landing in your lap, not literally, but you get my point. That people are going to reach out to you and are going to say, hey, I'm really interested in that thing that you've been posting about. And you might say, I'm not ready for it. Or you might say, well, I am ready for it, and let's go do it. So please do that. And we can also see it and support you in doing it, bump them up and things like that. Also, Danielle, are people going to get an email with instructions on like joining Slack and other resources that are available? Yeah.
You'll get this. Some people were saying, I want to watch this whole back like right after this. So you'll get the recording of this meeting, and you'll get all the resources you need to keep going with us.
All right, guys. Great to meet you. Thanks so much for your time. Hopefully I'll see you again. Be well. Good luck. Take care.